пульс.
Низький пульс.
So, hello everybody. It's Low Pulse podcast, first time in English, and our brand new guest, I think the greatest one so far on the podcast, is Victor Smangs from Sweden. Hi, Victor.
Hello, Eugene. I'm very happy to with that introduction. Very happy to be in the podcast.
Yeah, I think on my list of preferable guests, you are definitely in the top three. Maybe with Olaf and Steve Magnus, and I think
Those two guys, they are definitely up there, and I would be very happy to talk to them as well.
yeah. Do you plan to have them on Runners FM sometime?
That would be great. Actually, that is definitely two names that it would be up on the top three for me as well.
Yeah, and it's definitely you're the fastest so far, and you're just to introduce you to the audience. You're sub to 29 10K runner, host of Runners FM podcast, lovely one, and ambassador of OWN, Core, Nomia, and Ministry Nutrition. I hope I didn't forget anything.
Yeah, that's everything. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So what I want to start about, there might be some rookie questions because I don't know how our audience knowing you. So maybe to introduce you more. So how did you start running? I know that you had a background in hockey. Yes, and your progress is pretty fast from the running perspective. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, exactly. I played ice hockey from I was a child up to I was 20 years old. On kind of the team I played in was a second division team in Sweden. So it was the last year I was part of the A team, kind of. But I don't know. I really like hockey still, but I'm pretty small and I didn't have the hardest shot. So like, I kind of understood when I was getting into my 20s that I would probably not play in some kind of like NHL or higher up in the league. So so the love started to faint a little bit when you had to put in a lot of work, but you realize that you're not going to be as good as you wanted to be. So I kind of quit ice hockey when I was 20, and from 20 till I started to run. I started to run when I was 33. I'm 39 right now. I had more or less 13 years of not doing much, I would say. I've been skateboarding and snowboarding and surfing since I was a kid. So I did a lot of that and probably hit the gym time to time to get lots of kind of aesthetically nice body and keep myself in a decent shape for the surfing mainly. But I started to run in 2019 when I was 33. And that was more or less some kind of New Year's resolution, I would say. I knew that I was going to be pretty fast because we always did these physiological testing with my hockey team. So that was mainly like
Cooper test.
Yeah, exactly, like 3,000 meters, kind of after you done some kind of bench press and all those kind of more strength exercises, like all in lifts. We always finished up with a 3,000 meter test run after those ones, and I think I at least lapped the second guy at every race that I have done against hockey players. So together with that, and also that my grandma's brother had the world record in the 1,000 meters in the 50s. He was like an Olympian. I knew that I had pretty good genes, so I knew that I was gonna.
Genes, yeah.
Yeah, so that was good.
Like Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah. So that was. I knew that. So I knew that I was gonna be quite fast. So I think 2019 when I started with that New Year resolution, I was kind of wanted to run under 36 minutes for the 10K. It's a 10K road race here in Stockholm, and I think the first start group in that race was sub 36. So in my head, I thought that like that would be a challenge to just start to run and go for sub 36 before the summer. So 6 months later, that was kind of the only goal I had when I started.
Yeah, that's impressive New Year resolution, because always people like run a marathon or something when they started, when they are competitive. Even the New Year resolution is more about distance than the speed, and to do like 36 minutes 10K, it's you already know that you got this.
Yeah, I had actually a little bit of a clue, except for the 3,000 meter test runs and my grandma's brother. I had actually ran 2013, so 6 years earlier. I ran that 10K race because I got a bib from my sister's husband, and that was completely without running a single meter more than a little bit of 5 minutes treadmill before my gym sessions time to time. I ran that race in 37:30 or something like that. So I thought that like with some training I could run probably 36.
And what are your current personal bests for the distances? Maybe start from 100 and 1,500 meters, and so on.
Yeah, I actually like ever since I started in 2019, the main goal, like everything that I have built my training around, has been for the 10K road races. So all the other PBs are not that impressive, I have to say. It's just been more or less races that I've done around the training for some kind of a goal 10K race. But the 1,500, I have 3:52. And the 3,000 meter, I have 8:11. 5,000 meter, I think it's when I passed 5K at a 10K race. I think it's like 14:18. And the 10K is 28:57. And the half marathon, I've only done twice, and that was 3 years ago. I did my latest one, or 2 years ago. So I have around 105 something, 105:23 maybe. So
But
yeah,
those are still impressive results. Like, and do you consider yourself as a professional athlete? I don't know what is the difference between amateurs and professional athletes, like in Sweden, because we are in Ukraine. They're having a lot of fight because there are a lot of amateurs who are racing on the level of the professional athletes, but still they have like main job which is not related to running, or maybe it's coaching. I don't know. So how do you think about it and about yourself in this subject?
Yeah, I think I definitely don't consider myself as like a professional runner, because then I would just have like a athlete contract and that's it. So then I would be able to just run and recover, and that's it. And that's definitely not how my life is. Everything is kind of running in my life, but I have a contract with On, but that's more like an ambassador contract. It's not an OAC contract. So it's more also because I'm starting to gain a little bit of a following on social media, I would say. So I think that is for most of my sponsorships with Core and Nomeo and Ministry. If I would just have done the times that I've done, I think it would be hard to get those sponsorships. But I think the times I've done and the journey I've done, like that, I've done it quite fast, and I'm still like not so young. It's together with that, I have a following on social media. I would say that's why I have the contracts. But I'm definitely too slow to have just an athlete contract.
Like, I think on our markets level, you're on the level, at least at the 10K, like of our top athletes of the country. So I think it depends from country. Of course, you have Andreas Almgren, who is like the best of the best in the Europe nowadays, I believe. Yeah, so it's hard to compete against him, I think, on the Swedish competitions.
Yeah, definitely. And I think On that I'm sponsored by, for example, I think they're pretty fussy with athletes that they're bringing into the kind of professional contracts. I think for a 10K runner, I would say that I probably have to be competing in the world championship. But
27-ish.
yeah, so you know what you have to do to run in the 10,000 meter world championship is like low 27.
Yeah. Fair enough. And more about your training. I don't know. Can we say that you are using this Norwegian method, the double quotes with double threshold, with lactate measurement, and so on? So you're started to use it right before. I mean, from the start of your running career, or there is some history behind it, how you switched to this model?
Yeah, when I started 2019, I think in the beginning when I started, I don't know if you remember that how big Tin Man Elite was back in those days. Their content on YouTube. That's like when I started. I think they were like the biggest thing on YouTube back then. So I kind of got inspired by their coach in the beginning, Tom Schwartz, with that kind of CV training. And I think they still have on Final Search a very good calculator that's called the Tin Man calculator or whatever, when you can just see the CV paces and you can like a little bit dial in your own training to his method. So that was a little bit how I started. I was started to self-coach and use a lot of his philosophies for the first 2 years, I think I have to say. But after that, I felt I started to stagnate a little bit already. So I felt that I needed to run more kilometers a week. And then it was I did a physiological.
What was your? Sorry for interrupting. What was your mileage? What was your mileage back then? Approximately.
Maybe 80 to 100 kilometers a week, something like that. So I think I structured like with some like the week with pretty classic, like Tuesday, there was some kind of critical velocity. So you say 400 or 1,000 meter intervals. Thursday was kind of some kind of tempo, I would say maybe 30 to 40 minutes threshold. And then a long run and maybe some easy runs around that. So that was not so... I did a lot of like strides and short hill sprints because they did it as well. So that was like kind of the structure I had. But then I went to like a lab here in Stockholm and asked a little bit that test leader there what he thought that was a good idea to do something else. And he said that like I had pretty bad like threshold data because I'd just been running for 2 years. So he said that probably increasing the kilometers every week would be a good first step. And that then I kind of felt in my head that the Norwegian method could be something to use instead, because that was also started to be very popular with the Ingebrigtsens.
Yeah, and when did you met Mads as your coach?
Mads, my coach I have right now, we kind of follow each other on Instagram for a long time, but we started to work here with each other in the beginning of last year, so 2024 January.
And what did he introduce in your training? Like how your training was changed after he started to be your coach?
Yeah, I think like he is more. If we can still put ourselves in Norway, you could probably see the difference between how the Ingebrigtsens are training with the double thresholds and hill sprints and all those things, compared to how the triathletes like Christian Blumenfeld and Gustav Iden are working with Olav Alexander. So I would say that I put Mads' philosophy more close to Olav Alexander when it comes to like peak human performance, to just do a lot of, you set an A goal and then you do a lot of testing to see what you're missing right now to accomplish that goal. And then you work on that, those things that you're missing during the base period, and then you tune into more specific stuff closer to the race. It's probably an easy way to say.
And could you elaborate more on testing, like which tests and how often do you make? Is it only lactate or heart rate or like whatsoever. The breathing stuff, I saw that you're doing this to increase your lungs capacity, or
He's an all-in guy, and Matt's my coach. That's why I hired him. He's crazy nerdy. So if when I do the tests before we start the base period, it's we're measuring things with a moximeter. We're using the VO2 master, lactate, of course, heart rate. So it's everything from the ventilatory thresholds to oxygen consumptions in the muscles to lactate to heart rate to more or less as much as we think is good to know about how the body works in different intensities.
and it's like the main test in pre-season and during the season, like during the training. How do you adjust do you do additional testing? And what is that about? It's only lactate during the training, or something more, or weekly basis? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, no, we're mainly doing a good like a first like major test before we start, and then we use kind of all the metrics like lactate and heart rate and like sometimes I would probably use the VO2 master as well, and to just see if we're improving with the training that we're put in. So I send the data to Mats every day, like the lactate, the heart rate, all of the things that we can measure. I kind of we send to each other every day, so to see how that things are improving.
And for that matter, maybe we can speak more about lactate. How do you use it during training? I mean, so it's, for example, like Tuesday, double threshold day. So you have some morning, I don't know, 400 meters, and in evening 1 kilometers. How often do you measure lactate, and do you change the pace of the training? For example, if you go above the desired threshold for this training, and how many lactate stripes do you use during the training?
Yeah, I would say
and
that
is your finger aching?
Yeah. We use a lot of lactate strips every year, I would think. No, but say that if it's a pretty classic, we do kind of often like Tuesdays, the double threshold Tuesdays. And then normally I would do the first session in the morning in an intensity close to the first threshold, like the LT1. And the goal for that session would be to stay within like resting lactate numbers. So probably because I'm a slow twitch guy, so I don't produce that much lactate normally. So I would say like if I do 4 times 10 minutes, for example, and I measured after the second interval, and I would measure anything about 1.5 millimoles, I would decrease the pace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, for example, twice during the morning and during the evening session, which is closer to LT2, right?
Yeah.
And also like 2 or 3 measurements, right?
Yeah, exactly. If we do, for example, 25 times 400 meters, I probably measure somewhere in the middle there to just see where I'm at. But I feel like when it is in the base period, when you don't do so much like high intensity, so you kind of have your glycolytic system in check, it's not getting too crazy. I normally know what I'll get the lactate numbers because I can just see on my heart rate, and I would make an educated guess, and that's normally pretty close to reality.
Does it often, not often, do you remember the cases when it's really different? I mean, your heart rate, which you know that corresponds to, I don't know, 1.6, and then your measure and understand that it's like 2.1 and above the threshold, like when your organism is not working as you expect.
Yeah. I think I'm starting to get. I've educated myself, and I talk with Mats a lot, and I have done so many lactate like tests on myself, so I I kind of, whatever number it is there, I kind of know the reason and when to maybe decrease the pace or when it's good. I would say, for example, now I'm in a more race heavy period. So last week on the Tuesday, I did 6 times 6 minutes in the morning, and then I did 25 times 400. And during those 6 times 6 minutes, for example, I could do them between 310 to 315 per kilometer, within heart rate around 5 beats lower than my first threshold, so LT1, which was one of the best numbers I've ever done. But then when
Yeah, that's pretty fast and then pretty low lactate.
yeah, so that was very good. So normally I would knew that, like, because I had 5 beats lower than my LT1 in a normal circumstances, if it was like base period and it was not that hot outside, I would know that it would be around 1.0 to 1.2 lactate. But now when I measured, it was 2.1, and I kind of that would be a lot higher, almost twice as high. But I know that it is because the feeling was extremely easy and the heart rate was very controlled. But I know that right now when we're doing a lot of intensity, my glycolytic system gets much more effective. So you use carbohydrates much lower in the paces, and that is how it should be when you're getting closer to like peak shape.
Okay, so your 10K pace is approximately, depends on the race, like 2:53, and you're training on much lower paces, like 20 seconds less or so. Do you sometimes train race pace, or it comes naturally because of the whole, I don't know, aerobic base and threshold capacity which you're train? Do you afraid to go to the race and understand that you need to run like faster than you're running the training?
Now I think we kind of have a specific kind of race period that is probably 3 weeks before, say for example, a 10K race, when we put in at least 3 sessions, I would say, close to around the race pace.
Race pace. Mm-hmm.
And those sessions are very, very tough. One that I've done now before the Swedish Championships is, for example, 4 times 2,000 meters with just 1 minute recovery, and then 1,000 meter all in after the last 2,000 meter interval. So that's 9K in total, and it's in race pace. So that session is definitely the hardest one I've ever done, because it's just 60 seconds recovery between the 2,000 meters. That should be in the 10K race pace. So I did this last month, I think probably a month ago, and that was like around 251 to 252 per kilometer. And then the last 1,000 meter, I was totally cooked. So I think I just managed to do that one in 248 or something, because it's the last 2,000 meter, it was very grindy.
Your desired Bislett pace, yes, for 5K.
Yeah. So so that was tough, and I pumped myself with like bicarb and stuff before that session. So after that 1,000 meter all in, I measured a 22.1 in lactate. So that's a pretty hard session.
We can talk more about training, like you're also working as a coach. You have a club, the Triple Threshold. And what is your methodology about runners, about coaching runners? I mean, being specific, for example, do you use lactate in some extent with the runners with the level, I don't know, 50 minutes 10K, for example, who are like amateurs who want to get better? Do you think it's useful for them to do those measures, or heart rate is enough, or pace is enough? I don't know.
Yeah, that's also a very good question. I would say that people that I coached are more like having a normal job and having a lot of other things in life except for running. I would say that mainly you just want them to run as much as possible. That is like the biggest brush to be able, if they can run, instead of running, for example, 50 kilometers, if you can squeeze them up to 80 or 90 kilometers, that will probably be the biggest indicator for getting better. So I would say if some people, really are interested in lactate and find it very fun to measure. So if that runner, no matter how slow that runner is, finds joy in measuring lactate, then that would like automatically make them run more. I would say go for it.
You're saying fun a couple of times, so it's more for the fun part than the like training itself. I mean, the to know when your lactate and I don't know change the pattern of training.
I know. I think I know where you're going, but I would say that like to be able to have like this very like that when it starts to get very important to have like intensity control in your training, you have to come up to a pretty big level, like a level when you run a lot, and you do that consistently over a long period. So I would say I don't coach too many people that I would say that runs, for example, 140, 160 kilometers, and they do that week by week by week. And then because when you're getting up to a big volume and you maybe have a normal job, you really have to be much more like, you must be much pickier with like how fast you can run each run. But I don't think I have, because those people I coach that are at that level, maybe they're at around 220 in the marathon, and they have a normal job. Then I would want to use the lactate to see how to control the intensity. But otherwise, I think it's just more a matter of life choices that you probably could run more if you want, and if they are more that they don't want to run as much as I would want them to run to become better, then I think it doesn't matter as much that if they run a little bit faster time to time.
So it's more about the mileage than about measuring intensity during the run, because mileage is what matters.
Yeah, I would say that mileage is what the good old Steve Magnus said, I think, for a couple of episodes ago on YouTube. You can probably read any of the nerdy training books and say that I don't think it's a single good coach out there that doesn't say that like mileage is the most important thing for a long distance runner.
Yeah, like how he's really love this quote from Frank Shorter, I believe, that what you need to do to be a good runner, it's 2 intensive days, 1 long run, and as much mile that you can put in, and do this for 20 years or so, and you will be in a good place.
100%. That is the, if you get a new client and you're probably, I've said it a couple of times to people, like the good news is that like, it's going to be a lot easier than you think to be good when it comes to intensity wise and when it comes to the training. The hard thing is that you have to do it for a long time and be very consistent.
Yeah, definitely. One more, I don't know, maybe tough team, but want to know what you're thinking about. It is about the doping. Like, what is your attitude to the doping? How it's like overall of the country? Because, for example, in Ukraine, we have a lot of such stuff. And if you're watching football, this Mudryk guy from the Chelsea who were caught in the Mildrenat, I don't know why, and like overall, what do you think about the state of the doping? I don't know, in Scandinavian countries and overall sports.
It's a good question. It's so rare here. I've never seen anyone doing doping in my whole life. To be honest, not like
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like not the stuff
Yeah,
that
yeah, but I
someone
think
doing public.
it's a good question because I don't talk about it so much here in Sweden, so it's very good to just put it out in the air. Of course, like I think I really like it. It is also, I feel like, with it, just people who buys followers on Instagram or whatever it is to just take the shortcuts. I really don't like
Yeah, definitely
I don't like shortcuts in life in general. I'm a person who really wants to do a good job over a long time, and then I can feel proud of myself after the journey. So for that sense, like of course it's impossible for myself to do anything that is illegal. Same thing with like buying followers on social media or whatever you do, to just skip in front of the row and like kind of yeah. It's hard for the people who's doing the job to have to compete with someone who is just taking a shortcut, and I really think that is very lame to others to just do that. But I totally, it's everyone is it's so many different reasons, I guess, for people to dope, if you're in Kenya and it's like poverty and stuff like that. But I'm really happy to see when it's, for example, Andreas Almgren now, that I know very well and I train with a lot. Like, he's at that level when you earn a lot of money and you are in the position to win gold medals at the Olympics, and then you suddenly lose against someone that has been cheating. That is like heartbreaking. So it's very nice when people are getting caught. That, for example, Andreas came second in the Barcelona half marathon last year, and the guy who won just got caught for doping. So it's for him, it's very tough, when you're in people's opinion, he probably won that race, but it would be much nicer, of course, for him to cross the finish line first.
Yeah, definitely. I was devastated about this latest marathon world record holder. I don't remember exactly, Jeb Churchill maybe, or I don't want to say something on people who are not dope, but when she finished this Chicago in 2:09.
Yeah.
And everyone were saying, Steve Magnus was saying like, it's impossible, and we will find out sooner or later. And we found out, like she was disqualified. And reading all the comments of American runners who came second and third in Chicago, and for Americans, winning a measure, it's the main event in the whole life, and they took it because of the doping. So yeah, I think people who are using that are never thinking about consequences and about the second person.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is, for many things in life, it's just people are doing things just for themselves and don't think so much about the consequences for others. But yeah, that's a very good one as well. And I think that 2:09, my coach Mats was with us in the Runners FM podcast, my podcast, after I think it was the week after, and he just said that this is bullshit. I don't believe it at all. So like he was pretty harsh, as the Danish people are more harsh than Swedes. So of course he was right in the end.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, now let's talk more about the core, if you don't mind. I heard the training talks with the guys from a core, and I think it's the like hot stuff now because it's new. I mean, to train the heat, to measure it. Before we were know about it only for. I personally know about it only for example, marathon disabled, the guys who were training in the sauna, but not for the day-to-day marathon runners who want to compete in cold weather, but still want to heat train. Can you explain more, like, what is it? What is the core temperature? And well, the most interesting part for me, and I think for our audience, is the protocol. So what I need to do if I want to heat train. For example, I order a core for myself. How to incorporate it to my trainings?
Yeah, another good
A lot of
another
questions.
good
I
question.
just
Like it's it's I think I try to make it as not complicated as possible, but I definitely, as you say, I think heat training has been known for like when people are want to perform in the hot weathers and in hot weather, and that is definitely one part of the coin with core as well, to just make sure that you can if you do, for example, sit in a sauna or you run outside, you get this heat strain data, so you see that you don't overcook yourself. So it's definitely a good tool to use when you want to run in hotter conditions, to be better at hotter conditions during a race. But I would say that the main part right now is probably the increase in hemoglobin and VO2 max, like using heat training for in the same way as using altitude training, and that's mainly what I do, because I don't plan to race in those hot conditions, because in Sweden it's not often that hot, and I normally don't compete in a race that I would know would be very hot. Yeah, like to explain it, it's just like when you put yourself under like in hot conditions, when the body is not when it's not possible for the body to get rid of the heat. If you do that many times a week, your plasma level in your blood will increase, and then the body would feel like this is not like status quo in the blood. So then it'll increase the hemoglobin levels as to get the same levels of hemoglobin and plasma, which would in the end make you have more hemoglobin, and you can have more red blood cells to transport oxygen to your muscles. So it's more or less the same effect as altitude training.
And what is your protocol for this? Because you're already running like 170K. That's a lot of time. And I think today was the post from the core where they were saying that it's evident that it works for the 5 times a week protocol or something. So five sessions during the week. But how to incorporate it with all the threshold session and so on, it's hard for me to imagine. Yeah. So how it works for you?
Yeah, it is definitely a puzzle, because as we talked about before, I would say that mileage is the key. So like you definitely don't want to do too much heat training and run less, or do a lot of heat training and have to run your easy runs in a very slow pace, because you're doing it in some kind of 5 layers and you're becoming very hot. So that was definitely like a piece of the puzzle that I said that I felt that I really had to sort out myself, to make sure that I'll run the 180 to 190 kilometers probably a week when I'm in base training. And I also didn't want to jeopardize the pace on my easy runs. I kind of want to run in the same pace that I normally do. So the protocol that I have kind of created for myself to make sure that for that to happen is, I normally do easy runs Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, 2 times 10K or 2 times 12K. So normally the first session, the morning session, I would use as a heat training session. And then I go to the treadmill, which I think it's normally a little bit easier for the body to run on the treadmill than outside. Also good for heat training because it's no wind, so you get hotter inside. So I normally put on 3 layers of clothes, and I run my easy run session at the treadmill. So it's maybe, if it's a 12K, I normally run 400 per kilometer pace. So it's 48 minutes with 3 layers of clothes.
at the part of heat training.
Yeah, so I started like that.
That's impressive because what I heard that the heat training needs to be like very slow. So, for example, if your easy pace is 4 minutes, that my assumption was the heat training was done in the 4:30 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Per kilometer.
That's what you.
So it's the same.
That is probably what that is what I've heard as well when I started, and I didn't want to run in 30 seconds slower than my easy runs. So how I've solved it is that I'm putting on the 3 layers of clothes, but that's not like it's like more active wear from on, so they can breathe pretty well, these clothes, but it's still 3 layers and it's inside, so I get some heat strain. And so probably around 30 minutes into the session, I tilt into that zone 3 in the core monitor, that where you want to be for 40 minutes, for example. So it takes the 30 minutes in those conditions to get there for me. And then when I have been there for like maybe 15 minutes, I stop running, and then I do some half an hour on the bike, and then I put on even more clothes, like a rain jacket and some like thick pants and stuff like that, because then I get the last 30 minutes in. So I'll in total I'm in the zone 3 zone for 40 minutes, but I'm kind of using the running to get me into that zone, but then I use the cycling to maintain that when I'm in that hot zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard about mostly the same protocol when you're running on the treadmill, and afterwards go to the sauna. So it's like passive heat training. So you got there through the running, and afterwards go to sauna for 20 minutes or 40 minutes or whatsoever to get this heat training. Okay, and how often did you do? As I understand, it was more in the base period, right? So you didn't do it now.
Yeah, I do it less now. Now it's more important to get the proper recovery and get the hard sessions in than the heat training. So this was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I did a active heat session, and then I probably did a passive heat session, as you explained, that you maybe was at the gym. I did my long run in the morning on Sundays, and then I went to the gym and I did like a strength session, and maybe I just ran easy for 6K, and then I walked into the sauna to do a passive session.
Interesting.
Because the passive heat sessions are good, but not as active or good for the effects of creating like the hemoglobin as the active ones. The active ones are by far the best.
Yeah, because before your podcast with the guy from Core, unfortunately I don't remember the name, I was thinking that maybe I prior to that I was in near Barcelona in Spain, and I was running there when the heat and everything, and I was thinking about, I don't have this Core yet, but I definitely will try it. And I was thinking that it's the same adaptation. And in the podcast, you explained that it's not work the same way. So just if you go like, I don't know, in 2 p.m. and 35 degrees, that's not the adaptation that you want.
Yeah, exactly.
So it needs.
Because I live in Stockholm, so we don't have crazy hot weather here, barely ever. So like, I was down in Mallorca actually in June to just I celebrated my mom's 70th, and I was just wanted to try to see how it was to run down in Spain in the middle of the day when it's like around 30 degrees, and I because Mallorca, it's not that humid, it's more like this dry heat. So I ran with like 3 layers of clothes and like a hoodie, and like in Mallorca in the middle of the day when the lunchtime, when the sun was right over my head, and I ran 12 kilometers, and then I definitely needed to slow down because it got very, very tough to run in 4:00 per kilometers in those conditions. But in the end, I just got like 1 or 2 minutes in the heat zone 3 in that run, because the heat in Mallorca is too dry, and it was also the wind that you get blowing at you when you run outside compared to when you run inside made my like body be able to like cool itself down. So it's definitely. I have never been in a country where it's super humid. As I said to Toby, the guy I had in a podcast, maybe we should just try to go to Indonesia or something and see if it's enough to just have a 1 layer or 2 layers of clothes and see if you get the heat strain. But it's definitely not enough to run with like normal clothes in when it's just hot and dry. That is not enough heat strain.
Yeah, and you do this in the base period, right? And closer to competitions, you do it less because it's more important to do the running stuff itself, not the heat adaptation.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
As we are more the amateur podcast, so what do you think if it brings some advantages for the slow runners, our 10K, 50 minutes guy, if he comes to you, to a coach, and said, like, I want to buy a core, will it be good for me? What do you suggest in that matter?
I don't have, so as I said, probably the same answer there. I don't have so many runners that I would say I would probably advise them to run more than before buying a core. But I definitely think it's a good, because when I started to run when I was a hockey player, I was like 20 kilos heavier than I am right now. And I remember when I was a little bit bigger, I definitely had a harder time in the heat. I would say that like what I have found out now when it comes to just being better in the heat, because I think a lot of races is in the summer, and I think a lot of people struggling when it's get too hot, and kind of their races get ruined by the weather. I think it's definitely a good part to use it for the reason of being better at running in the heat, because I definitely feel like for me right now running in the heat is a zero factor. I perform just as good in the 28 degrees as I do in 12 degrees.
Not a problem
anymore. But it was a huge problem before.
Yeah, that's the worst try, definitely. But again, I'm thinking if I'm not planning to compete in the heat, if it worth spending time for heat adaptation.
I
think it depends, like for anyone.
yeah, exactly. And I would say the same thing there. I think a lot of people are. I think you probably are a guy that like numbers as well. So I think a lot of people are like us and find a joy to see that you become better at something, and you can see it in numbers that are increasing or decreasing. In this case, in the core app, they have made it very addictive because you can see your heat adaptation from 0% to 100%. So I think it's a good thing for your fitness if you find the joy to be like, I want to reach that 100%, because then you're probably going to train more, which in the end is going to make you faster.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that it's not about the joy. Like when I see all the guys who heat train, it's too complicated, too hard.
It's tough for sure.
Yeah. Because in my triathlon preparation, I do the bike session at home, and on this bike, when you're not having the good fan, which provides a lot of air, then you're struggling from the beginning. And I find out that it's like during the bike training, I got heat up more than the running training. And that's why I hate bike. That's why I love running.
Yeah. It's definitely my first heat session that I did was probably one of the worst things I've ever done in my whole life. I was like I I was like, I really have to make some kind of a hemoglobin test to see if this actually is going to make me faster. Because if I should do this 4 to 5 times a week, that's going to have to require a lot of mental grinding. But in the end, the first session was by far the hardest, and it got a lot easier.
Yeah, well, as for everything.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe. And how often do you test your blood for the hemoglobin, for example?
I actually
Like
just
once a month?
Yeah, actually, I've just done that once, and that was just like I'm prepared to do a lot of crazy hard stuff as long as I can see in some kind of numbers that they make me like better, or like in this case are raising my hemoglobin mass. And so I just went to this like Olympic facilities here in Stockholm with Daniele, who is like one of the, I would say, the best scientists in the world when it comes to heat training. And I did a hemoglobin like kind of mass test before the first block I did, and then I did another test 3 weeks later, because the gain is biggest in the beginning, and we could see in the test that my hemoglobin mass had increased quite a lot. So for me, that was just, I just want to see that this thing that they told is going to happen is happening. If it's happening, I'm prepared to put this into my routine.
Yeah, definitely. I'm the same kind of guy. So if I'm running faster, if I'm running the same pace but with lower heart rate, if my lactate is less than the previous training, I mean, I tend to do anything. Yeah. And to conduct this, what are your goals for the future? What are the nearest races and your goals, if you're okay to talk about it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm one of the biggest goals I have this year is, we have these like top 10 lists in Sweden, in like Sweden Athletics. You can see historical list of who's been running the fastest in different distances. So I always wanted to be top 10 in Sweden all time for the 10K road. Right now, I think I'm 12 or something like that. So I had to run under 28:40 to get that 10th spot. So that is definitely something that I want to do this autumn. So I have a race in Rotterdam next weekend called Big 10K that I'm going to race. And then I'm going to go up to...
And it's pretty flat, right, in Rotterdam?
Yeah, it's very flat. So it's a very good one with a lot of good Dutch and Belgian elite runners. So that is definitely a good one. And then I have a race and then I go up to St. Moritz for 2 weeks after that one. And after the altitude camp, I have a 10K race in London in the end of September, and then the Swedish champs in the beginning of October for the 10K road. So 3 races now that I really hope that one of them is going to lead to a sub 28:40 time.
I think so that it will, and I wish you good luck for those races, and I hope that our podcast will be live before to that, so our audience can see like what you desire for these races and what are actual result. And I'm sure that you will smash this top 10 Swedish.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's a tough one, but I'm doing everything I can to make it happen.
Yeah, that was nice to meet you. I think I can talk with you for hours because it's so interesting. And my advice for the audience, for the English speaking audience, to subscribe to Runners FM, because it's a lot of good stuff weekly. And I think it's my favorite podcast. I'm not lying now. I'm not saying it to everyone. But unfortunately, you already found the second co-host, so I'm out of competition.
Thanks a lot. So super nice to hear, and it's always so nice to hear that you can never imagine that people like you sitting in Ukraine, that you always sit in your podcast booth and talk to someone, and you just think that it's not so many people listening. So it's always so nice to hear that it's people all over the world is listening. So that is very, very nice to hear. And I definitely would be really nice to come back to your podcast and tell everyone that I've done a sub 28:40. That would be really cool.
So in a week, okay, on the same place.
Exactly. Second episode.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. It's been very nice to be with you.
Соки абле,
Це правильно, суки обли.